World's most expensive grill, man. Sauce Walka, plug Geo, you dig?
A 20-year friendship in Houston's jewelry scene just crashed out in a massive way. And the real story behind Johnny Dang's $200 million empire is about to shake the hip-hop world like never before.
I want no free. I want my money and I want to go over the top, best of the best, biggest of the biggest, make it work.
Behind the flashy diamond grills and those iced-out chains, Sauce Walka had been spending serious money at Johnny Dang's shop for years, building a connection that looked unbreakable from the outside.
You dig?
I'm gonna take out the Johnny Dangs and put in the Geos. I'm sorry. I'm taking out these and I'm upgrading to these. Nothing from 100,000 to 1 million. You know what I'm saying? Cause we have to we setting the bar standard in the state of Texas so high that it cannot be beaten. Welcome to Texas.
We're talking huge purchases, fully custom pieces, and a level of loyalty that went way beyond regular business. It looked solid, like nothing could mess it up, until it did.
Johnny wouldn't have did nothing better than what I got in my mind, which I don't understand. Johnny wanted to put some smile in my mind. I don't want no free. He wanted to give me some free shit that was way smaller than this. I don't want no free. I want my money and I want to go over the top, best of the best, biggest of the biggest, make it work.
Things took a sharp turn when Sauce Walka started questioning what he was actually getting for his money. He began raising concerns about overpriced jewelry and stones that didn't match what he believed was promised. That's when the vibe shifted completely, and what once looked like a tight relationship started showing cracks in a big way. Now the truth behind this fallout is starting to surface, and it's coming out in a way nobody expected. This situation isn't simple at all. It's layered, strategic, and way more intense than people first thought. There are business angles, personal tensions, and trust issues all mixed together, making this way bigger than just a disagreement over jewelry. And it doesn't stop there. There's even audio making rounds online, adding more pressure to the situation, with Johnny Dang stepping up trying to clear his name and protect his image before things spiral even further. That alone has people talking non-stop. Let's keep it real. Social media is going crazy right now. People are choosing sides, spreading stories, and turning this into a full-blown online battle. But not everything being said is facts, and that's where things get messy. We're here to break it all down properly, separating what's real from what's just noise, because this situation runs way deeper than surface-level drama.
The jeweler tried to shit on my neck. That's why I actually wait.
I'm gonna take out the Johnny Dangs.
2 weeks ago, I saw you the maddest I ever saw you in your life.
I think this is not because of him. The jeweler that make the grill for him tried to twist him, put him in that way, tried to shit on my neck. He's really not meaning shit on my neck, be honest. You know how Shot is. Himself love, he's good people. But the jeweler, that's why ex-employees. They came from nothing. I teach him how to do the game, bring them in the game, trust him a lot. They see a lot of money that they never seen in their life. I stole money because they don't understand how to pay so much for the diamonds, so much for the gold. They just look at the necklace. Oh, you sold the necklace 100,000. They think that we make like 20, 30,000 over there. Oh, I just make 100,000. They don't know exactly how much it costs.
I'm gonna take out the Johnny Davis and put in the Geos. I'm sorry, I'm taking out these and then upgrading to these. Nothing. We went from 100,000 to 1 million. Know what I'm saying? Because we had to edit. We send a bar standard into due in the state of Texas so high that it cannot be beaconing. Welcome to Texas. And don't get it twisted. This wasn't just random online chatter or some quick argument for clout. This was a long-term relationship that finally cracked under pressure, and the reasons behind it go way deeper than people think. Johnny Dang and Sauce Walka go back over 20 years deep. This wasn't some casual link-up or one-time deal. This was built from the ground up. Back when Sauce was still rising in Houston, spending big money at Johnny's shop and building what looked like real loyalty over time. From the outside, it looked locked in, like nothing could break it. But things aren't always what they seem. Here's where it starts to shift. Sometimes the people closest to you start moving different, and you don't catch it right away. That's when things get complicated, and small issues start turning into big ones fast. Now let's really break it down. Johnny Dang came to America from Vietnam with nothing but ambition and a serious drive to win in a whole new environment. He started small, working out of a flea market booth in Houston, grinding every day, learning English, and connecting with local artists who were just beginning to make noise, step by step. It wasn't handed to him. He built it piece by piece.
I'm the one spent the $500,000. I did that. I'm the only that got the same necklace that Floyd Mayweather got. How many rappers you put the chain on and they walked out this hole? Not with this though. Exactly. I see you put it on a lot of the rappers. You tried to make a lot of people buy it, and then they up in it. All right, yeah. I'm the about it. Oh, I spent half of what.
That small hustle eventually turned into a $200 million jewelry empire. He became the go-to name for major rappers, not just in Houston, but also in Atlanta and Los Angeles. His name started carrying weight everywhere, and his work became instantly recognizable. What really set Johnny apart was how smart he moved during hip-hop's rise in the early 2000s. While traditional jewelers stayed stuck in old-school ways, Johnny paid attention to what artists actually wanted: custom pieces that showed off their identity, their success, and their status in a loud way. He wasn't just selling jewelry, he was creating statements. Bold designs, standout pieces, and eye-catching looks that helped shape how artists were seen in the spotlight. In Houston, that was the perfect place for all of this to take off because the city had its own energy, its own culture, and it was ready for something different. It produced legends like DJ Screw and UGK and built a powerful underground scene where artists were hungry to show their growth through bold, standout pieces. Johnny Dang positioned himself right in the middle of that cultural wave, offering payment plans, custom designs, and building tight relationships that made artists feel like they were part of something real, not just another transaction. While artists were putting in work and investing their tour money and music earnings, Johnny knew exactly how to make them feel valued while leveling up his business at the same time. He understood the moment and played it smart, turning connections into long-term loyalty that kept his name buzzing in the streets and the industry. Now, in the hip-hop jewelry world, loyalty isn't just important, it's everything. When an artist finds a jeweler who truly understands their vision and can bring it to life, they stick with them. That bond starts feeling like family, and breaking it, that's where things get serious. That's exactly how it played out between Johnny Dang and Sauce Walka. For over 20 years, Sauce was dropping serious money at Johnny's shop. We're talking huge purchases, including a $500,000 chain, plus grills, pendants, bracelets, the full lineup. Sauce wasn't just a customer, he became a walking billboard for Johnny D's work, showing it off everywhere he went and adding real weight to the brand. But here's where the situation gets deeper. While Sauce was investing heavy in helping build Johnny's reputation in Houston, other artists, especially those coming from outside the city, were getting a different kind of treatment behind the scenes. Some of them were getting promotional pieces, discounted deals, or even early access to new designs before anyone else. Meanwhile, loyal local clients like Sauce were paying full price every time. No shortcuts, no special deals. And in this industry, perception can change everything fast. When artists see big names rocking certain pieces, it shapes where they decide to go next. Johnny understood that and played the promo game strong, hooking up high-profile artists with free or discounted jewelry in exchange for social media posts and public appearances, showing off his pieces, keeping his brand visible at all times. It was a smart promo move, no doubt about it. But here's the twist. Longtime customers who held things down before the spotlight weren't getting those same perks, and that started making people look twice at the situation. Now here's where things get real serious, at least based on what's been circulating in the industry. There were growing claims that Johnny Dang was charging top-tier prices while allegedly using CVD diamonds, lab-created stones, and presenting them like they were natural diamonds. That's a huge difference when it comes to value, and people don't play about that.
Oh, listen, no, man. Oh, your baby?
Yeah.
Yes.
I did take this picture.
Eyes out. But when you come to community, hey, we work together, man. Appreciate y'all.
Right, that's
Spend
right.
the time to here. For all the kids, they
Yeah.
should stay away for you, man.
Ooh.
Ready? Come on, let's go. Hey, Superman.
We're talking about artists spending anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 on pieces they believed had natural diamonds worth that price. But according to these claims, some of those pieces may have included lab-created stones, which usually cost way less to produce. That gap? It raises big questions. And this whole CVD diamond conversation goes deeper than most people realize. These stones can be made in just weeks, while natural diamonds take millions of years to form underground. Even if they look the same and test similar in some ways, their market value is usually much lower, and that difference matters when serious money is involved. For example, a natural 2-carat diamond might run around $20,000, while a similar lab-created version could fall between $3,000 and $5,000. That's not a small gap, that's a massive difference that can change how people see the entire deal. Now, everything hit a breaking point when Sauce Walka revealed what he called the world's first permanent $1 million grill, created by celebrity jeweler Jose G. This wasn't just another flashy piece, it was on a completely different level. The grill featured a mix of 1-carat and 3-carat diamonds set in rose gold, with each tooth estimated between $20,000 and $50,000 across all 28 teeth. The detail on this piece was wild. We're talking over 50 carats of high-quality stones carefully placed into a permanent design that instantly grabbed attention. And when Sauce Walka showed it off, he made sure people understood exactly what they were looking at, speaking directly on camera and putting even more spotlight on the situation as everything continued to heat up, saying, "I'm gonna take out Johnny Dangs and put in the geos. I'm sorry, I'm taking out these and upgrading to these. We went from 100,000 to 1 million. You know what I'm saying? We setting the bar. The standard in Texas is so high that we cannot be beaten." That moment landed heavy. That one statement, publicly comparing both jewelers and calling one an upgrade over the other, is what really lit the spark and pushed a 20-year relationship right to the edge. And the timing? That made everything even more intense. Johnny Dang was already facing growing public questions about his business, and now one of his most loyal clients was openly suggesting his work didn't hit that top-tier level. That kind of spotlight adds pressure fast, and people were paying close attention to every move. But here's another twist that makes this situation even deeper. Jose G, the jeweler behind that $1 million grill, wasn't just some random name popping up out of nowhere. Reports say he previously worked with Johnny Dang and stopped working with him back in April 2021. That detail alone adds a whole new layer to the story. Now, what might have looked like simple business competition suddenly feels way more personal. When someone who used to be inside the operation steps out and starts making major moves, it changes how everything is viewed. There's history there, there's knowledge there, and that can shift the entire dynamic. Think about it like this. From Johnny's perspective, this wasn't just Sauce choosing a different jeweler. This was Sauce taking $1 million project and handing it to someone who already knew how things worked behind the scenes. That includes understanding techniques, client expectations, pricing strategies, and the overall business approach. When that same person steps out and becomes direct competition, it hits different. It's no longer just about business. It starts to feel personal, layered with past connections and inside experience that could influence how everything plays out next. On top of that, Gio had been posting Johnny Dang across social media for months, and there were even claims floating around that he was creating similar designs while offering lower prices. That former employee turning into a competitor angle hits different, especially in tight business circles where everybody knows each other. Johnny had spent time teaching him, guiding him, and bringing him into the core of the operation. So when someone steps away and builds their own lane using that same experience, it doesn't just feel like normal competition, it starts to feel personal real quick. And the conversation didn't stop there. Gio also made public statements saying he wasn't properly compensated, even after helping generate major revenue. One claim pointed to over $9 million in a single year connected to his work. That's not a small number. That's the kind of figure that makes people stop and really pay attention. But here's where things really started heating up. Gio also made claims that Johnny had been selling CVD diamonds instead of natural ones, basically echoing what some voices in the industry had been hitting at for a while. Now, this wasn't just random talk online. This was coming from someone who had been inside the business, Because of that, his words carried serious weight. He wasn't speaking from the outside looking in. He had first-hand knowledge of supplier connections, pricing setups, and how things were handled day to day. That kind of insight hits way different than rumors or secondhand stories. So when someone with that level of access starts raising concerns about business practices, people listen closely. It shifts the whole conversation and makes everything feel more real, more detailed, and way harder to ignore. Right after the grill reveal, Johnny Dang responded with a 4-part video, and you could feel the emotion through the screen. His tone made it clear this situation hit him on multiple levels: business, personal relationships, and his reputation, all wrapped into one intense moment. He even said he had reached out to Sauce Walka before everything went public, trying to link up and talk things out behind the scenes. That detail adds another layer, because it shows there were attempts to handle this privately before it all exploded online. He wanted to have a conversation, possibly work on a new grill together, and even explore bigger business opportunities. That right there shows he knew things weren't perfect and was trying to handle it behind the scenes before it turned into a public situation. He even said, "It's all good. You can shop around the world. You know you don't need to put my name in there, but if you mention my name, put some respect on my name. If not, keep the get my name out ya." That moment added even more intensity, making it clear this wasn't just business anymore, it was personal too. Then Sauce Walka came through with his own explanation on why he didn't go to Johnny for the $1 million grill, and he didn't hold back at all. He laid everything out with raw honesty and made his mindset clear from the jump. He said, "Johnny did nothing better than what I got in my mind. I don't understand. Johnny want to put some sense in my mind, because he didn't want to go to signs that I didn't want to go to, because he ain't want to do what I wanted to do for the money I'm trying to drop." That right there shows he had a very specific vision and wasn't willing to compromise it. He kept it direct about what he wanted, saying, "I ain't trying to do this. I don't want no free." He wanted to give me some free that was way smaller than this. I don't want no free. I want some of my money, and I want to go over the top. Best of the best, biggest of the biggest, make it work. That frustration was loud and clear. This wasn't about discounts or deals. It was about going all the way and creating something on a completely different level. He wanted the biggest, the boldest, no limits at all, and he was ready to spend for it. And he didn't stop there. He doubled down even harder, saying, "That's not gonna fit. It's not gonna end your mouth correct. It's not gonna, I don't give a if it's gonna fit, make it fit." So I went to that geo, made it fit, made it happen. Give a damn about what you're talking about. That right there shows just how far he was willing to push his vision and make sure it became reality no matter what. He also made it clear he wasn't looking for handouts at all, saying, "I don't want nothing for free. I don't want no free diamond, man. I want a free Diamond Boy chain for my people to pass it around with all my crew and rest of my people." That statement alone showed where his mindset was. This wasn't about freebies. It was about building something bigger for his circle. What really got people talking was what this revealed underneath. From Sauce Walka's point of view, it seemed like Johnny Dang was giving special treatment and free pieces to out-of-town artists and celebrities, while he was trying to invest his own money and go bigger than anyone else. That contrast stood out heavy. Here you have Sauce, a longtime Houston client who had spent serious money over 2 decades, not getting that same level of attention as artists coming from outside the city. That started raising real questions. From his perspective, it felt like he was being treated like a regular customer, while others without that same history were getting premium treatment. There were also reports circulating that Sauce had previously asked Johnny for complimentary jewelry and was turned down. At the same time, claims suggested that other artists outside Houston were receiving promotional pieces to boost visibility. That difference in treatment is what really made people start looking at the situation in a new way. And it didn't stop there. Gio also made claims that this kind of approach wasn't just a one-time situation, but may have involved multiple high-profile clients. Now, these are still allegations, but they definitely got people talking and questioning how things might have been handled behind the scenes. Now, think about the numbers for a second. If someone is paying $100,000 for a piece they believe has high-value natural diamonds, but the actual materials cost much less because of lab-created stones, that creates a huge gap between perceived value and real cost. That difference alone can change everything. And when you scale that across multiple pieces over time, the numbers get even bigger. We're talking about a potential gap that could add up fast, which is exactly why this situation has people watching closely and asking serious questions. That's exactly why certification matters so much in the diamond world. Natural diamonds usually come with grading reports from trusted organizations like the GIA, the Gemological Institute of America, confirming their origin, quality, and overall value. Lab-created diamonds, on the other hand, are supposed to be clearly labeled in documentation, so there's no confusion about what you're actually getting. As this situation kept unfolding, the tension between all sides only got louder. What started as quiet talk within the industry quickly turned into a full-blown public situation, with fans, insiders, and even other artists jumping in with their own takes and opinions. Social media turned into a full battleground. Clips, reactions, and breakdowns were everywhere, with people analyzing everything, from past purchases to old interviews, even down to body language and videos. Everybody was trying to connect the dots and figure out what really happened behind the scenes. At the center of it all, one big question kept coming up. Was this just a misunderstanding that got out of control, or is there something deeper going on within the business itself? That question alone kept the conversation alive and spreading fast across every platform. Meanwhile, both sides stood firm. Johnny Dang focused on defending his name and the years he put into building his brand, making it clear his reputation came from consistency, hard work, and long-term relationships. He wasn't backing down from that. On the other side, Sauce Walka stayed vocal about his experience, standing on his vision, the money he spent, and why he decided to move in a different direction. He made it clear he wanted something bigger, something more specific, and he wasn't going to settle for less. And then there's the bigger picture. Situations like this shine a spotlight on how the custom jewelry world really works, where image, trust, pricing, and relationships all collide at once. One small shift in expectations can turn into a major fallout fast when both sides aren't aligned. Here's the part that really made people stop and think, because this wasn't just about jewelry anymore. It was about trust, reputation, and how business gets handled when serious money is on the line. This wasn't being framed as just one or two questionable deals. According to what's been circulating in the industry, some were suggesting this could have been a repeated pattern that played a role in building Johnny Dang's $200 million empire. And when you're working with artists who trust your expertise, that kind of responsibility carries serious weight. A lot of artists aren't deep into the technical side of diamonds. They rely on the jeweler to guide them, explain things clearly, and be transparent about what they're actually buying. In many cases, they don't even ask for certification details, putting full trust in the person they're doing business with. That's a big level of trust to hold. That's exactly why this situation sparks such a strong reaction. When someone with a solid reputation starts facing claims like this, it naturally leads to bigger questions about the entire luxury jewelry space and how it connects with the music industry. People started asking, how common is this really? Are other jewelers moving the same way behind the scenes? And how many artists may have paid premium prices without fully understanding what they were getting? Those questions alone kept the conversation alive and spreading fast across different platforms. Then there's the hometown angle, and this part hits different. Houston has always had a tight, connected music scene where loyalty means everything. When someone rises, there's an unspoken rule to support the people and businesses around you. That's just how the culture moves. Johnny Dang built his name as Houston's go-to jeweler, the one who understood the culture, the style, and worked closely with local artists from the ground up. He wasn't just a businessman. He was seen as part of the scene itself. The city has always been about staying connected, giving back, and keeping that foundation strong as success grows. Johnny gained a lot from that hometown loyalty. Houston artists didn't just support him because of his work. They supported him because he was viewed as part of the city circle, someone who came up with him and represented that same energy on a bigger stage, someone connected to the culture and the community. That kind of trust goes way deeper than just business. So when Sauce Walka, one of Johnny Dang's most consistent clients for over 20 years, started feeling like he wasn't getting the same level of attention, it stood out in a major way, especially with claims that out-of-town artists were receiving VIP treatment. In a city like Houston, where loyalty means everything, that kind of difference doesn't go unnoticed at all. That's why this situation hit harder than just a business disagreement. It touched on those unspoken rules about supporting your own and staying solid with the people who helped build your name from the ground up. And when those expectations start feeling off balance, people began asking serious questions. The bigger concern that started circulating was whether this kind of treatment went beyond just one person. If pricing, product details, and client treatment weren't consistent across the board, that could impact more artists than just Sauce. Now, these are still claims, but they definitely sparked deeper conversations across the industry. People started looking closer, asking more questions, and paying attention to how things might be handled behind the scenes. That shift alone shows how much weight this situation carries. For Sauce Walka, this wasn't about ignoring Johnny's journey or success. It was about speaking on what he believed was ongoing unfair treatment and bringing attention to concerns that could affect others in the same space. That's a bold move, especially considering how long their history goes back. The fact that he chose to speak publicly despite that 20-year relationship shows just how serious things had become. You don't take something like that to the public unless it's been building up for a while. Eventually, both sides were able to move forward and settle their differences at a Houston community event, showing that mutual respect can still come through even after all the tension. That moment mattered, and people definitely noticed it. But even with that, the bigger conversation didn't just disappear. At its core, this whole situation is about loyalty, respect, and fair business practices, and what really happens when trust starts to break down in an industry built on close relationships and reputation. When that foundation gets shaken, everything connected to it feels the impact in a real way. And that's exactly what makes this situation hit deeper than it first looks. There's also another layer here involving power dynamics in the hip-hop jewelry world. For years, certain jewelers have held strong positions, with artists placing full trust in them without always knowing the technical side of what they're actually buying. That kind of imbalance can create situations where questions don't come up until much later. So when someone like Sauce Walka, who has a strong voice and real influence, starts speaking out about concerns, it puts pressure on the entire space to take a closer look at how business is being handled. It forces conversations that usually stay behind closed doors right into the spotlight. Johnny Dang's journey, from arriving in America to building a $200 million jewelry brand, is still a powerful story, built on growth, effort, and understanding the culture he worked in. That part of the story is real and can't be ignored.
But at the same time, if there were inconsistencies in pricing or lack of clarity around products, then raising those concerns becomes important, not just for one person, but for others moving in that same space. That's how industries evolve when issues get brought forward. The conversation around CVD diamonds also highlights a bigger issue across luxury markets. Customers often rely on expert knowledge they don't personally have, which makes clear communication and honesty extremely important. When that trust gets questioned like this, it doesn't just stay between two people, it spreads across the entire market. Situations like this show how much the relationship between hip-hop artists and the businesses around them is changing. As the culture grows, artists are becoming more aware of the business side of things. They're not just moving off relationships anymore. They're expecting transparency, proper documentation, and the same level of professionalism that comes with any high-value deal. That shift right there is powerful because it means the standards are rising and everyone involved has to move smarter, clearer, and more accountable than ever before. The era of major deals being done off handshakes and personal connections alone is starting to fade out fast. Now the focus is shifting toward clarity, paperwork, and real accountability, and that's changing how the whole game operates. So now the big question is, what happens next? Are more artists going to start asking detailed questions about exactly what they're buying? Are jewelers going to have to provide full breakdowns on diamond quality, sourcing, and pricing to keep everything transparent? And even bigger, will the industry move toward more consistent and open practices that actually protect everyone involved? Because when you're talking about six-figure or even seven-figure purchases, this isn't small business anymore. It's serious money with serious expectations. Buyers want detailed receipts, verified diamond certifications, and clear explanations of what materials are being used. Pricing needs to reflect real value, not just branding or hype. That's where the conversation is heading, and it's only getting louder. Now, despite all the tension, there has been a positive turn in the story. Recent footage shows Johnny Dang and Sauce Walka meeting up in Houston and settling things face to face. They came together publicly and handled it directly, showing that even major fallout can be worked through when both sides are willing to step up and talk. That moment in H-Town hit different. It showed how powerful real conversations can be when they happen in person, not just through social media clips and online debates. It also proved how strong community ties can help smooth over even serious business issues when there's mutual respect involved. But let's be real, the bigger conversation they sparked about transparency, pricing, and fair dealing in the hip-hop jewelry world is far from over. If anything, this situation just opened the door for more people to start questioning how things really work behind the scenes. So now the spotlight shifts to you. What do you think about Sauce Walka speaking out on his experience? Should longtime clients get extra perks for loyalty? Or should every deal stay strictly business no matter how long the relationship goes? And then there's the ongoing debate around CVD diamonds. Some people see it as smart business, depending on how it's presented, while others feel like it raises serious concerns if details aren't explained clearly. That line between fair pricing and questionable practices can get real thin, especially in luxury spaces where branding plays a huge role in how value is perceived. People have been paying close attention, and now there's more awareness than ever before. Situations like this remind everyone that trust plays a huge role in business, and once questions start popping up, everything connected to it gets looked at differently all at once. This story really shows how important it is to stay informed about what you're investing in. Loyalty matters, no doubt, but it can't replace clear communication and fully understanding the details behind a deal. That balance is what keeps everything solid.
The culture is evolving fast, and artists are becoming way more business-minded. They're asking more questions, checking details, and making sure they're protecting their investments at all times. That shift alone is changing how the whole space operates. Johnny Dang built a major name over the years, but this moment proves that even the biggest brands have to stay sharp. At the end of the day, everything depends on trust staying strong. And once that trust gets questioned, the spotlight gets even brighter. And here's the final layer that really brings everything into focus. This situation didn't just create headlines, it changed how people look at the entire hip-hop jewelry world. Once conversations like this go public, there's no going back to how things used to be. Now more artists are paying attention than ever. They're asking questions, double-checking paperwork, and making sure they fully understand exactly what they're putting their money into. That level of awareness is shifting the game in real time. At the same time, jewelers are feeling that pressure too. The expectations are higher now. Clear communication, proper documentation, and full transparency aren't optional anymore. They're becoming the new standard, and anyone not keeping up is going to stand out fast. What makes this moment so important is that it's bigger than just one situation. It's a wake-up call across the board. When trust gets tested publicly like this, it forces growth, accountability, and a shift in how business is handled moving forward. And let's not ignore this. Relationships in this space are still powerful. Even with all the changes, connections, respect, and reputation will always matter. But now, those relationships have to be backed by real clarity and solid business practices to truly last. Deals aren't just transactions. They're built on reputation, respect, and long-term connections. But now, those relationships have to be backed by real clarity, not just history and past loyalty. That shift is changing everything right in front of us. The way these two Houston icons were able to come to an understanding shows that even major fallout can still be handled with respect, communication, and face-to-face conversations. That part of the story stands out because not every situation ends like that. But let's be real. The impact of this very public situation is going to shape how business is done in the jewelry world for a long time. Transparency isn't just a bonus anymore. It's becoming a requirement in an industry built on trust and high-value deals. Without it, questions are always going to come up, especially when serious money is involved. So now the conversation turns to you. Do you think Sauce Walka was right to speak out on his experience, or do you think this should have stayed private? Situations like this show how complicated it can get trying to balance loyalty with doing what feels right in business, especially when long relationships and big investments are tied together. One thing is clear, this moment hit the jewelry world hard, and it might actually push the culture forward. Artists are becoming more aware, more careful, and more focused on protecting their money, their image, and their long-term success. That kind of shift doesn't just fade away, and this is just the beginning. There's still so much more that could come out as people keep digging, asking questions, and paying closer attention to how everything really works behind the scenes. If you made it this far, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who needs to see it. Drop a comment and let me know your thoughts. I want to hear where you stand on this situation.